Hello everyone, welcome to Crowdfunding Countdown, where we take a look at every single board game campaign finishing up in the next week. And this week is no different. We're looking at everything. So we're going to get right into the week, but before we do, I've got to give a huge shout out to my newest patron, Wesley. Thank you so much for jumping on board, supporting the channel. Thank you to everybody who consistently supports the channel. I recognize that Patreon is like an ebb and flow sort of thing, and I'm just super appreciative of everybody who is stuck with it, who stays with it, who continues to support and keep this show and channel running. It's so monumentally amazing. It really is. And it makes days like today, when I thought I was recording this whole episode and found out near the end that I wasn't, well, it makes it all the worthwhile to record it again to make sure that we get it out on time. So we're going to get into the week. It's a good week. There is something that I want to preface and talk about, though, and maybe I'll repeat it in the ending as well. I think there's a lot of quite decently good games this week. Games that I think I would play, and I think I would enjoy, and I think they would be, like, quite nice. And I'd have a fun evening if somebody brought them out. And yet, there are so many games out there that I still don't think a lot of these games pass the will I go to a store and buy it right now test. Because that's the bar that it needs to be, right? I think we get into this habit of crowdfunding, of settling for games that are a little bit less exciting, when there are so many games out there that are better. And that is the bar that we're fighting against. We're fighting against, do I go to the store right now and purchase something at retail that might be on sale, or do I spend the money to potentially support a smaller creator or support a project that won't make it to retail? But just because it won't make it to retail doesn't necessarily mean it's a good buy, right? Is it different enough to warrant purchasing that instead of A Feast for Odin? You know, one of those highly regarded games that you've had your eyes on, and yet we spend a lot of money on these particular games just because they give us that crowdfunding dopamine hit, just because we get to get the thrill, and then it doesn't take up space on our shelf, and it doesn't give us a task to complete because we don't have time. That gets punted down for later on, you know? So I think that's worth considering as we look through this week, which is pretty solid up until the point which I've already recorded, and then who knows what sort of tomfoolery we'll get into. So I just wanted to put that here before we start off the week, and now let's get into it. You just get to hear me revel about cat power. This was one from last week. Steam Power has a little expansion that people rightfully called me out in the comments that I did not focus on. This was a complete mistake, because look at this board. Why would you ever play that trash game of Steam Power ever again when you have a beautiful, beautiful art printed board like this one? It's cats. I can only assume you're getting balls of yarn for all of your cats to enjoy. Who cares about the theme? We care that it's cat themed, and that makes it much more likely to be funded by yours truly. Looks really cute, should be an auto back. If you're getting Steam Power, 100% you should get this for the extra 15 bucks. I know, I think you gotta. I really think you gotta. So shout out to Steam Power. Let's move on to the first one of the week, Lovestruck, a game about finding love on reality TV, a social deduction board game where you compete on a reality dating show. Are you here for the right reasons? This is an interesting one. I absolutely love the theme. You get to pick one of your characters. It doesn't matter who you are, they all do the same thing, nothing special, but they're there to find either love, you're there for the right reasons to find love on reality TV, if you're the party animal, or you might be the party animal who's there for the wrong reasons to find fame on reality TV. Every couple rounds, you're going to go on dates. A certain amount of people will go on dates. You have to put in either love cards or drama cards, but drama cards boost up the viewership. However, if you get to 10 viewership, the game immediately ends, and everybody who's there for the wrong reasons benefits because they've gotten wildly successful, and their Instagrams are now overly popular, just like the Room and Board Instagram, which is exclusively photos of bounce off. And that one time I got like an 8 in Meeple Circus. I know, it's actually a 7, but I'm lying to you. It's an 8. It's very close. It's a great one. This is an interesting one. I'm really hyped on the theme here. Gotta go back down to the rules. They do have a rule book. That's great. I'm really stoked on the theme. I think it's cool. I think it's funny that you need to couple up. Like you have to make a couple with someone, and then if you are in a couple at the end and you're both there for the right reasons, you win. Otherwise, you lose. Or if you're there for the wrong reasons, you also have to couple with somebody who's there for the right reasons. I just think that, so there's a villa section where you get to take villa actions, which are like learning information style things. So you use your cards to do that. And then you have the date action where you play some cards for no reason. Really no reason. The people who are wrong, who are there for the wrong reasons, want to get the game to end, to hit 10 to end. And so they are incentivized to play drama cards, but it says in the rules, it's like, hey, you're also incentivized to play drama cards because you want to hold on to your love cards to use for better abilities. And it's like, yeah, well, then there's no reason for the dating to happen. It's like no point whatsoever. So because of that, I feel like the flow of the game is going to lend itself a little bit more to that role-playing aspect, that fun theming. The fun theming is there. I mean, I am here. Give me that Love is Blind fantasy, honey. Give me that burning love fantasy. I want to be Mark Orlando or Blaze being Blaze. I want to be that guy on The Bachelor who won The Bachelor, who won the hand of a fair madam because she didn't realize that every time he was on camera, he was pulling out his guitar and singing to try to get famous. And then she picked him instead of the guy who actually loved her. Oh, it was heartbreaking. Heartbreaking. That's what happens when it's a big game of F-Boy Island. Yes, I love reality TV, and I like this as a theme. I just don't think most of the mechanics matter, and that's really it's really a shame, because then it will overstay its welcome and it won't be like a super long-lived social deduction game, more of a gimmick. I don't know, you could find a nice balance of people trying to lower the viewership with true love and really proving themselves, and there might be a tension there of who's here for the right reasons, wrong reasons, good team versus evil team, but I just don't quite see it, which is a bit of a shame. But it looks fun, and it looks more fun than it should be, which I think you got to give credit where credit's due. That's 25 US, 34 Canadian, and then their shipping was pretty reasonable. I liked it because it was $10 to $28 in shipping for Canada, and that feels accurate. That feels like they talked to someone, which I like to see. So potentially 37 to get it to you in the US, around the cheapest to get it there. I don't know. I think just mechanically, like I got really excited for it, and then I thought, what do the dates do? Who cares? It seems like a whole bucket of who cares. But if you're interested, if you care, that finishes Wednesday, March 6th at 10 a.m. Moving along to Street Masters, the Champion Edition. Ooh, there we go. Kyoru. We just got a whole bunch of money at since the last time I looked at you. Street Masters, which I only realized looking through the campaign is not Street Fighter, but it's Street Masters. It looks fun. It actually looks like a solid game, but for an expensive price, right? The base pledge, the Aspirant pledge, which gives you Street Masters 3, this is combining all the different Street Master games into one sort of package. That package is $490 Canadian. If you want to just have a little taste of it, it's still going to cost you like 130, 140 Canadian after shipping. The Challenger pledge is like 240, right? This is the sort of game where it's really easy to just churn out a bunch of additional fighters and give you all of these minis and make you feel like you're getting a bunch of stuff when I don't know how much the variability actually matters. It was interesting, though. It was a bit more interesting than I expected. Let's see if I can go to the rulebook for some player aids, or some visual aids, rather. You have two modes. You have an arcade mode or a story mode. The story mode is very, very similar to the arcade mode. You just get little cards that are either perks or pleasures. No, it's another P. We'll get to it when we get to it. I was thinking of impish or admirable. You have a fun little mechanic where you get to charge up, flip your card over, and get your superpower, which is cool. The interesting part about this, as far as I've read through the rules, is every turn you get a threat phase. So basically you draw a card from the enemy deck, and then that is an evil villain who only activates on that particular fighter's turn. So if I'm fighting, my threats would activate. They might attack different people, but they exist and they kind of rotate through that way. So it feels pretty balanced. You're going through, you're taking out a bunch of different bosses. I don't see that much variability in the enemies other than their behavior. People have reference Gloomhaven in terms of tactics. You also don't get to play a million cards. They say this is a deck builder, but I haven't seen it in here. The active fighter may play one card, and then you draw one card. And you can also take additional actions, which is, activate cards that are permanent in front of you. But it's not a lot of stuff. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of chaining that gets to happen, or maybe there is, and it's just specific examples in the rulebook. But it just seems like your options are fairly limited, and you need to be more efficient than like pew 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 pew, which is the technical term, pew 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 pew. Right, you're battling on this hex board, and so that's why people say Gloomhaven, because anytime some people see a hex board where bad people move towards the nearest or furthest villain, it's Gloomhaven, because Gloomhaven is popular. But you'll have certain objectives that you have to hit and make your way through each scenario. I think it does look cool. I think it looks neat, but I also think it's expensive. There's a lot of games that look neat out there. And we're going to find this as a thread through this episode of Crowdfunding Countdown. Again, I should have put it at the beginning. Let's put it at the beginning. Remember the thing I said at the beginning? Yeah, that came right here. Haha, you went back and rewatched it. You're so smart. Now you've really melded in with my own timeline. Amazing. Yeah, I think games are good. I think this game is good as well. I think Joshua Butler could kick me right in the face. You know what I'm saying? Well, you just ruined my take, Renee! And now that will be in the video. Which you'll never watch, Renee! Apologies for the interruption, Joshua Butler. You were about to sit on my face. Kick me in the face. Damn it. Ooh, Caitlin. All right, I'm done with this campaign. I've made my point. I think it looks fun. I also never need it in my life. It's one of those games that I think looks good, a general good. And if you get it and you're excited about it, I see no reason to talk you out of it. But you need to be excited enough that if it was in your store right now, you'd go out and buy it today. That's the deal. That's the deal we've made. Next up, we have Conservas, which actually looks really cool. This is a solo bag. Oh yeah, Street Masters, that finishes Wednesday, March 6th at 5 p.m. Over to Conservas on GameFound, which will finish on Thursday at 11 a.m. This looks really nice. It's a solo game, so I'm probably not going to get it, but it's by Scott Alms, who designed Warp's Edge, or at least is credited as part of a design team for Warp's Edge. I don't know if it's just him. Does a lot of the Tiny Epic stuff, Tiny Epic Galaxies, which is the best one of them, apparently. And this is a really neat little bag building game. There's going to be a number of scenarios that you have to complete. You either have to end with a certain amount of money, a certain amount of conservation in the ocean, sometimes a balance of both, and it's broken down into these 3 phases. Phase number 1 is at sea. You're going to draw tokens from the bag in handfuls of 5, and you're either going to assign them to boats and leave some left over, or you're going to put it into the open water. Now, whatever fish you leave behind, they are going to make more fish that you can put back into the bag. And so it's a game all about conservation. You want to conserve and maintain the ecosystem. You don't want to take the last octopus or the last 2 octopus from the sea, because then that octopus will never mate with the other octopus and eat her mate and then eat herself and then make more babies. Sometimes 500,000 of them. Enough that you at least get to put 1 octopus token in the bag. But just so you know, when you pull those octopus out again, you're not pulling out the same octopus. They didn't breed, they didn't have a happy life. Unless, of course, you are the striped Pacific octopus, which is the only octopus on record known to produce more than 1 brood before dying. And they're pretty rare. Like, they were discovered in 1970, and then they were kind of rediscovered in 2012 or 2015-ish. Unless you're them, your octopus, you got 1 time, you lay your eggs, you eat your own skin in your arms, and then you push your babies out to sea and you die. Senescence is what that's called. Anyway, just so you know, those are not the same octopus that you saw. They're not. They're absolutely not. Then you can sell some of these tokens that you put on your boats. You can sell them at the market, you can get money, and then you pay for like upkeep of your own boats. And so you want to have a sustainable fisheries industry and not one where you just take things away from the sea and never give it a chance to revive itself. You want to make sure that there's enough fish creating little babies out there so that you can eat even more. Yum, yum, yum. It's only 25 bucks too, and shipping's pretty decent, I think. €5 to Spain, best there, 14 to the US, not great, and 18 to Canada. Like, it would be $60 Canadian game for me, so as a non-solo player, not interested. However, you know, it's close to 41, 42 if you're a solo player. I think this looks legitimately pretty fun if you like bag building. I like the theme. This is the same company that did Witchcraft and Resistance, and so they are really solo focused and solo forward, and that's pretty cool. So that's that one that finishes Thursday the 7th at 11. I think it looks really neat, and I'm not a solo player. Moving along, we have kCaloria, or just Caloria, because I think K is the symbol for it, but it doesn't matter. This is also not deck building, and really not area control either, but it's tile laying. You get a bunch of tiles over here. Whenever you put down a tile, it will produce a certain number of resources, and it also costs a certain number to put into play. Now, each one of these things, I forget if it's on the main page. Yes, it is. Great. I don't have to click through the rulebook. Each one of these things will produce a certain amount of cubes, and those cubes will always, or generally from the examples that I've seen, always have more points to them. So because of this, you're always chaining things together. If you want to play with 2 players, it's a $40 game. If you want to play with 4 players, it's a $75 game. Basically, you get a sheet of 60 for every person, and you mix them up, and they all have their own ecosystems, and so probably could be balanced, could not be. But I think this chaining together is fun. You want to get the most cubes, you want to chain things together more efficiently, you have a hand of tiles, and I also think the area control that they talk about is potentially fun, because you have, I'll go to the explanation, right here, you set everything up 5 spaces away from each other. So you could just build in the opposite way, or you can build and connect into other players' things, etc. And when you connect to other players' stuff, you can put like disasters on them if they've moved into your ecosystem. I don't quite know how you tell what the difference is if 2 things have melded together. I guess you don't, and you just lose. That's what it seems like. But I think that that concept is kind of interesting as well. So again, a game that seems like decent. The shipping is only in the US, and so it's $10 for a pack of 2, $14 for a pack of 4, etc., etc. But again, I think like a decent game, not one that I would ever be seriously interested in purchasing just blind. But if somebody pulled it out and said, hey, I want to play this, I'd say sure. And I'd probably have a mildly to decently enjoyable time with it. So if you're interested in that, that finishes Thursday, March 7th at 8:42 p.m. If that got your curlies all tingling. I'm looking at this game. I probably should have cut it because we're on the second round. But it's literally somebody who is like, you know what? I'm going to lay some sheets of paper down and we can just curl inside without the ice. That's all it is. It's literally just curling. It's like, hey, here's a curling circle. Flick your discs. And hey, you know what? Shuffleboard is awesome. And if this gives you an opportunity to do shuffleboard, great. Another way to do this would just be a modified way of doing crokinole. You take your crokinole discs and you put it on a table as they did in their drawing. There's no shipping information. There's no information about how they're going to be published, but they do have these zany cards. I don't think it's horrible. I really don't think it's a horrible thing, but I also think everyone could make this at home, and there's no real reason to get it. But again, not horrible. Not horrible. Let's move on to another not horrible game, Trailblazer, the Arizona Trail, the sort of sequel to the John Muir Trail. But now we have the Arizona Mural Trail. You'll get it in a second. This rulebook is horrid. It's really bad. The how to play is also bad. And so I watched a video and then read through the rulebook, and that made it a lot easier. Essentially, it's tracks on tracks on tracks, where doing anything gets you some sort of resource. Come on, load. There we go. It has the Arc Nova sort of scoring, but not really, because it's not as soon as things cross the game's over. The game's over after 8 rounds, and whoever has the most points wins. You're basically getting points in 2 different types of points. You're getting it in gold, and you're getting it in grit. And how it's framed here, it says you're losing points in grit, and then you're subtracting the lost points, and you want to have 0 points in grit. But when you gain points, you actually get no points. It's confusing and silly, but essentially there's 2 tracks. They start on opposite ends. They're going to cross each other, and you're going to have to subtract whatever this value is, because it doesn't have its own unique value. You're still going to have to subtract it from your higher value. Then that's your score at the end of 8 rounds. Everybody could be negative in that way as well. So it has the time track, it has a set time. There's going to be these different locations which you can develop and get things as you push through. There's going to be resources that you gain, a mural area where you're placing top polyominoes, and this rulebook won't tell you this until page like 10, but it's a worker placement. Doesn't really get to that point, but you figure it out eventually, kind of. So you're going to place your workers in a variety of spots using your resources to chain and get additional resources to move up on different tracks. Like here, you need to be up on level 3 of one track, 2 of another track, spend those resources, and then you get that stuff, right? And since it was probably obscured by my head, this big old friggin' melon of mine, maybe not, but maybe. There's the 3 and there's the 2. There's other tracks where if you're in the lead, anytime somebody takes cards with icons, you get a point. There's a bunch of points that can bounce back and forth. The crux of the game, they say, though, is going to be this polyomino, these flora and fauna that you're getting and gaining. And so you want to cover it all so that you get the most points to win. It's 49 for the retail, it's 69 for the deluxe, which literally just gives you 6 miniatures and a dual player board. Oh, a dual player board. I didn't see that, especially with putting the polyominoes down and things not shifting. That might be nice, but not for 20 bucks more. I don't think this deluxe is worth it at all. It really doesn't turn my crank whatsoever. I would do the retail and I would kind of wait, because shipping is 16 to 20 or 21 to 25 to get to Canada. So for me, it's like $100 game, whereas I know you'll be able to find this for like 50 in stores for half. So again, another one of those games that looks like decently good. I think the combos will be nice. I think people will enjoy it. And there's artwork galore, so that's something. But for the most part, I think it's like a wait and see style purchase. Still happy it's done well. I think it actually looks quite nice. And that finishes March 8th at 9 a.m. Okay, let's keep it moving. You know, it feels nice to have done your research and then repeat the same. I got the rehearsal out of the way. I got the practice out of the way. We're going to slow down very soon, but I'm close. Next, we have Widgets and Digits, which I thought was going to be horrid, but actually looks decently fun as well. Again, another decently fun game. This is the week of decently fun games. It's being pitched as an economic game to be gateway your friends into board games. It says it has like the most innovative trading market ever, when really it's the market from Power Grid. That's what it is. Yeah, the innovative marketplace mechanics. But it's just Power Grid. It's Power Grid meets a little bit of Gizmo's engine building. You're going to upgrade your chain to create things. You can have funny cards in there that will give you a funny way to upgrade it. But essentially, you just want to upgrade it in an efficient way. And then you have this market that is constantly in flux. So it'll cost more the less that are there, and you know it's cheaper and you can sell a bunch. You're incentivized to buy and you're incentivized to sell. Shipping for this one, it's $45, and then US, it's probably going to be mostly US. They're clearly based in the US. Canada it'll be around the $30. Again, this puts it into that $100 Canadian range, which is absolutely not a thing. Yeah, so, oh, you know what? It hadn't funded. It hadn't funded when I looked at it last, and now it has. Congratulations, Widgets and Digits. Did you do a little update? Are you excited? No, you're still at 52%. Well, maybe you were asleep. That's okay. Normal people are at this hour. Yeah, looks cute enough. If you like Power Grid, which I do, I think it looks pretty decent, but I might just also want to play Power Grid for my economic needs or brass. That finishes Friday, March 8th at 12:43 a.m. Moving along, I don't know why this is still in here. Goodbye. Sorry, Gnome Gnabbing Grannies. Oh, I read this as big old fartin' Grannies because that's what all the cards are about. Break-win, denture drop. It's literally Battleship. Get gone. Goodbye. Now we've made it to Tainted Grail, the RPG. I'm not going to go into this too much. I'll tell you that the video kind of spoils Tainted Grail Fall of Avalon. It's like, hey, it's been years since the Fall of Avalon ended. Well, maybe it's the Fall of Avalon, so maybe it's still just set in the world. Maybe it hasn't ruined anything, but it's like, woof. And let me tell you, things got even worse after that. So you're telling me that it's never going to get better for me. It's never going to get better in Tainted Grail. I'm going to go through all that work, all that grind, only to have a sad ending. I play games to escape my real life, not to relive them. You were supposed to destroy the Sith, not join them. But here's a big old box of RPG stuff. If you like the Tainted Grail world, I get it. Let's see how many people have liked the Tainted Grail world. I don't think this has broken 1 million. No, 280. So I wonder if this is a disappointment for Awakened Realms as they try to get to the RPG realm. RPGs can do like upwards of 1 million, but how much are you for this box? Like, ugh, what are you doing? The core book is $33, 30 euros. I see 25 as being the standard, but that's for the digital, and the core book being 55 US, like 70 or 80 Canadian. Nobody's gonna pay $100 to get an RPG system when a lot of the RPGs, you know, are cheaper. But it seems like you might get some cards too. Standard edition and stretch goals. All digital stretch goals? Oh, these are only PDFs. Even these cards, these Druidism cards, in print in the deluxe, and then as PDF to everything else. That sucks too. If you're sending a friggin' book, you could send a pack of cards with that. It's not going to add anything to shipping. It wouldn't cost you anything. That's a bit disappointing. But it does have a quick start, so if you're interested in RPGs, that's going to finish up this week. You can check it out now, or you can check it out literally whenever you want. Let's move along to Black Rose Wars Rebirth, Enter the Lodge. So this is Ludus Magnus Studios selling off their overstock. I don't know if it actually is overstock or if they're lying, because they came out with this for a few games as well. Last chance, only 1,000 bundles available, but it doesn't seem like there is a limit pledged 187 times. They're just selling their overstock, and they're selling it for 339 euro, which way back when in like 2022, I did 5 reasons you shouldn't back this if you want to find out more about the game. There's an early bird for 129, and then it throws in a bunch of the add-ons. I don't think this game is worth $441. It seems fine. It's a big sort of programming battle royale game. You choose your favorite school of magic, and the whole premise is that like you can develop from different schools, but you're always getting random cards off the top of the deck. So you're always going to have some random spells. You're going to pre-program these spells beforehand, and then you're going to attack each other. And then in Rebirth, you're building up the lodge instead of tearing down the lodge, but it's essentially the same thing mechanically. You're going to add cubes to a location, and you get points if you're the one to sort of build it back up. For the Rebirth of the Black Rose, then you can become the new Great Master of the Black Rose. It seems fine, but like, you want more than fine. You really do want more than fine. And hey, look, there's limited Nova Itis Renaissance because they didn't sell it all off. 200 left. So it's almost like if you missed it, you'd have a chance to continue to get it again, just like you could always get it from their shop. So it's fine. I mean, clearly it worked for them. Clearly it's just helpful to be on crowdfunding to get attention and to come out with a last chance sale that invokes FOMO into a lot of people. But really, meh. It seems just okay. Again, another decently good game. Oh, the week is full of decently good stuff, not stuff you need to pay $500 for. Decently good. Up your standards. That's what I'm saying. It's like having ordinary dice when instead you could have a dice dangle. A sweet devilish dice dangle. You know, sometimes you want devilish dice, and sometimes you want to go the extra mile and get a devilish dice dangle. Sometimes you want to dangle your dice all over the place, you know? Sometimes you don't want to just like caress it with a finger. Sometimes you want to stuff them all into a vial and then jangle and dangle them all over the room. Sometimes you need to just shove all your beautiful round dice into a sexy little dangly shaft and then just jingle jangle that shaft right around your neck, okay? Take your sweet shaft, put it on some twigs and moss in the forest, and then get ready for some dice dangle. That's all I'm telling you. And then when you need to roll some dice, you shake your little dangler out. Sometimes things get stuck in there, so you need to shake that dangler a little bit harder. So what if your little dangle's super tiny, okay? It doesn't matter. It's not the size of your dice, it's how you roll them. The dice dangles come in all different shapes and sizes, okay? So I don't want to hear any dice dangling shame. There's the Seer's Secret, which has a little bow in it. What's the secret? You'll have to dangle it and find out. There's Runic Magic, which I understand. People have been talking about those who have Runic Magic for a while now. And I'm not blessed enough to have Runic Magic, but If you do, that's okay. You should be celebrated for having that kind of dangle. And finally, you have the Veiny Elf's Blessing Dangle. So just in case you're one with the spirit of the vines and the trees, just dangle those little dice. Okay, we're moving on. To this one, we're not really covering this. It's look at this. 20 backers have raised $5,000. No, they haven't. Okay, now we have to look at it. Smoke and Candor. Because why should drinkers get all the fun? You know why? Because the smokers already have fun. They're sitting down with their plus-size bag of Doritos and Zelda Breath of the Wild. Okay, they're having themselves a good time. One Smoke and Candor game. Here's the thing, though. LLC Q&A. Want to grow your own LLC and offer yourself a trademark and copyright protection? There you go. Get yourself to Chicago. Okay, so we have 4 backers getting a family pack. We have 3 backers getting 2 copies. We have 2 backers getting a limited edition copy of the game. So what are we at? We're at 9 backers. And that's it. We have 9 backers. And then we definitely have 11 more backers who, for some reason, with all this money from their Smoke and Candor that they definitely got legally, they're putting it into this Kickstarter, which is for sure not a money laundering scheme. And if it is, and I've called you out, please don't come at me. Don't kill the messenger. Blame yourselves that you were too busy smoking your own stash to realize how obvious a scheme this is. We wonder why the card game and party game options for weed smokers were so limited. Yeah, because everybody's already having a great time. You don't need to have a party. They're just chilling. I don't know. I assume. I'm pretty straight edge, so what can you do? Moving along, let's get to Aquaris. We only have a couple more left in the week. The print and play roll and write. In this roll and write game, you'll have to be the player who builds the best aquarium. Get fish, crabs, turtles, and seahorses in this print and play. I don't know, let's cover the print and play because it's almost my star sign. They get an A for effort, which they left out of the name. Oh, I see. I was going to laugh at them for this nonsense that 1, 2s, and 3s were just scratching out the middle row, but apparently you can do that. You can pick whichever row you want. Scratch out stuff. You get an arrow, you get to scratch out something else down here. You get an arrow, you get to scratch out something else down here. Go from left to right, get pearls, you get money. Get pearls, get problems, you know what I'm saying? Sorry, you're collecting pearls to make necklaces. Yes, of course you are. Some pearl necklaces are worth 1 point, some pearl necklaces are worth 2 points. This feels like it would be a great application for a certain dice dangle. Character skills, just to turn dice into dice, chain things together. I don't know, if you like roll and writes, check it out. It doesn't look that inspired to me, but enough people have pledged, like a decent amount have pledged. So I guess there is a market for all of these roll and writers. That finishes Sunday, March 10th at 12:45 p.m. Moving along to something that, like, legitimately I'm really, really stoked for, and I know nothing about it, but it's called the Catacombs of Candarlin, a solo fantasy game book. Armed only with a pen and 2 dice, you will embark on this epic fantasy adventure. And there was this book from my childhood that did this thing. It had a little outline at the top where your 2 dice sat in. You made your own character, and then you went around and you went to the edges of the map, and if you went to the edge of the map, you could go to a different book. It was friggin' awesome. I'm sure it wasn't like that fun, but it's just a choose your own adventure game. Choose your own adventure game where you could roll stat check tests, right? It was awesome as a kid. It was so cool. And this style feels like it. And my heart of hearts is hoping to reawaken my inner child through checking out this campaign. So we're looking at it for sure. And I hope it's everything I've ever hoped for. And if it isn't, I'm going to lose it. I'm going to lose it. I'm going to go scorched earth on this. There's no in between. It's one or the other. Sorry, that's just what has to happen. It's one or the other. I wish it was different. I really do. Already off to a good start. Woohoo presents. Come on. Worth backing. I mean, it doesn't quite capture what I wanted it to, but for those who like to read on screen or print out themselves, €10. I want this. I want it to relive my childhood. For those who want the book and a PDF, €15 and ships. For those who want both books, oh, I do. €15, 23 Canadian? Yeah. Shipping, rest of the world, €8. Okay. So it'd be like $30 for this cool book. Looks amazing. Love that. it's some idiot like me who hasn't even experienced it. As an avid gamer, I have to let you know that looking at a book and touching it in your hands, two completely different experiences. It's like virtually rolling dice and then dice dangling, okay? And then rolling a sweet dice dangle. What do you want? You want the dice dangle. It's so funny that this is what it's called. It's called dice dangle. And for sure, that's why I took note. It was called the dice pendant. Don't care. Would have left it. Would have moved on. Dice dangle? 100%. I need 4. But only on special occasions like my birthday, okay? Otherwise, 1 is fine. The adventure book, The Secrets of Candarlin, has 250 plus paragraphs. Well, it's clearly a book for kids. When you're not talking about pages, you're not talking about word count, because that seems too out there. People would see through your ruse. No, it's got 250 pages, paragraphs. So how many pages is that? Yeah, it's got 250 paragraphs. How big are the paragraphs? Unknown. Could be 2 pages per paragraph. You never know. Might just be a long run-on sentence of a paragraph. If you don't indent it, you don't count it. Okay, I've calmed myself down, I think. Okay, but sorry, The Kingdom Beyond the Hill has approximately 300 paragraphs? I'm back in. Only a pen and 2 dice. I love it. Yeah, okay. I don't have time to read this. It'll sit on my shelf. But I love to know that it's out there. I give this 2 woos out of who. A solid woo-hoo out of woo-hoo. No, a woo-woo. No, it's not woo-woo. I give it 3 woos and a who out of 2. It finishes Monday, March 11th at 1:47 a.m. Moving along, we've got Philharmonix Space Orchestra Management Board Game. Become a space orchestra manager and perform magnificent concerts across the galaxy in this unique 1 to 4 player worker placement game. Now, Philharmonix is kind of a cool one. It was something that I was really interested in looking at. My patrons had talked about it. We gotten a lot of excitement around it. And you know, unfortunately, what happened? They did a stupid $1 pre-pledge. So you know what happens for Philharmonix? I get to tell you how shit it is and how nobody should back it, and I don't get to look into it whatsoever. Congratulations, Philharmonix. You just bought yourself 0 free advertising with your dumb $1 pre-pledge. And I think that's going to be the stance of the channel moving forward, that we're going to spend our time focusing on games that don't encourage predatory FOMO tactics upon their people, that don't encourage people to get a sensation of already having bought in, and so they're more likely to click the back button, that don't go forward with this garbage excuse that it helps with the marketing and it helps you find your target audience. No, you know who your target audience is? Your target audience is board gamers. That's who your target audience is. You know who your target audience should be? People who like a good game. Have you made a good game? Well, then it should stand out amongst the rest. Now that's callous, but it's also fair. And there are a lot of great games out there that don't get the necessary attention because they don't have a good marketing plan. However, this is not a good marketing plan. This is not a sustainable marketing plan. And you know what? Arcana Games, yawn my shit list. We have a little great $1 blacklist in our Discord, the Room and Board Patrons Only Discord, where we're keeping a tally of all the games and all the companies. Oh, Pest. Let's see. Pest was raised $331,000 Australian. Philharmonix raised $158,000 Australian. You know what Pest didn't do? At least I think it didn't. The $1 pre-pledge. You know what game is underperforming your last one? This one. You know what policy many companies are starting to roll back because of the backlash at people saying enough is enough with this shitty, scummy marketing? I think you can fill in the blank. You know what's going to be my #1 reason not to back Veiled Fate when it crosses $1 million? This rant all over again. I'll probably have to do a 5 reasons, right? I'm going to try to, maybe I won't. Maybe there just won't be coverage on it. But I think the 5 reasons is sort of a net 0. You know, it brings some people to it, it affirms some people's decisions, and it dissuades some other people who are eager with the FOMO. But you know what my takeaway from Philharmonix Space Orchestra? My takeaway is this game isn't good enough to survive without making backers purchase it in advance with knowing nothing about it. This game isn't good enough to survive on its own merits. is the narrative that is being presented to me here. And so this segment, where it could have been me delving into the rulebook and getting excited and directing people to fun mechanics, as this Monday series is all about, I'm sorry, but Philharmonix does not get the same courtesy, nor will any campaigns using that $1 pre-pledge get moving forward. And I have the most sincere apologies if I do end up covering something that does have this $1 pre-pledge. This is just for the crowdfunding portion. I'll probably lose track of it down the line when doing reviews if people reach out to me later. However, if I remember, they will not be free reviews. And in fact, I'll go back to the campaign and I'll charge them $1 for every backer on it. So I think, and then there's still no guarantee that I'll like the game, but that's just to cover it. That's my barrier to entry for anything that uses that $1 pre-pledge. That's what I can say to you all. You know what's a better way to spend $1? Room and board Patreon, baby. Yeah, that's my pledge to you all. And I know some people don't find it as abhorrent as I do, but I really do. I really find it just garbage. It's just a garbage thing. It's another FOMO tactic. It's another thing that promotes this exclusivity and that the companies never see. Like, there's so many responses of companies right now. This should be a whole video. It should be a table talk video. Probably will be. But there's so many companies right now whose response is, you know, we don't really see it as predatory. We offer a refund on the dollar. We're not taking somebody's dollar. That's not the point. The point is, the reason these sales convert is because you've already accessed people's fear of missing out on the deal. They said, well, these aren't exclusive. They're not exclusive. You can buy them for $20. It's a $20 expansion that we're giving some people for $1. Yeah, it's $20 that people feel like they have value of. It's like, I have a $20 ticket. And so in order to get that $20 off, I've gotten now 25% off what this game is. I only have to buy this game for $60, $61. And I get $80 worth of value. That's like going to Target and getting something for 25% off. Why would I not do that? Right? Like, that's the lizard brain that it hits. And all of you companies out there know this. Everyone who's doing this pre-pledge knows that's the psychological effect that it has on people. And I'm just sick of it. This is my rant of the day. Stop it. And congratulations to the companies out there who have reversed it. And I think we need to continue to be vocal about this if we don't want it to go the road of the Netflix, of cracking down on password sharing, right? Once we accept it, it becomes the norm. And this is not something that I want to accept. This is not a standard that I want to accept, that we're just going to have this inception level marketing going on. No, enough is enough. You get enough FOMO during the campaign, but there at least you don't have that added pressure, right? You have the 24-hour, you have the early bird gifts, which I've never been a fan of, whatever. It's the same thing as those early bird gifts, just implemented in a way that makes you go through the added effort of inputting your payment information on a different site so that the publishers can also have it and then market to you even harder because they know you've dropped something down, so they know they can push you around. Me, I don't like being pushed around. So that's why Philharmonix, you're not getting coverage. Let's see what the shipping is though, because I got 3 words for you. I got 4 words. My Firefox is freezing. And no, that's not a euphemism for my dice dangle. You know what? I'm so happy. It's frozen. It's crashed. Shipping? $18? No. $33 to Canada? You kidding me? For such a small box? Yuck. Worst shipping rates I've ever seen. I also apologize for the inevitable when I've done coverage on something and then it comes out with this $1. We'll try to avoid it. But sorry, Arcona Games. Change your stance, you fools. You know who aren't fools? Red Mojo Games. They brought you Tindaya, and now they're bringing you the other Inferno. It hasn't raised $1 million like Dante, but they're bringing you this one where you can help your family become the most powerful in Florence and the most infamous in hell. I was not expecting the sentence to go that way, so I'm very happy that it did. Inferno was a soul management game based on the immortal works by Dante Alighieri. This is the other Dante, and it already looks prettier and potentially more interesting. I'm excited. Let's check this out. I love that the theme of this game is that you're searching the world for sinners. You're going to send them to hell so that they can feel their just rewards. It's like $1 pre-pledge the board game. Too much? Not enough. All right, yeah, that was pretty fun. This looks like, the theming itself looks like really stupid fun. If you will be able to enact on that theme, probably not, but it definitely looks fun. Oh, I can't wait to check this out. I love checking out board games that are worth checking out. All sinners are welcome, baby. Except, again, the $1 pre-pledgers. Us versus them mentality works, right? Like, I've seen it. It's what the entire US is based off of. So I'm assuming it's a good thing. Let's just add more to the mix. Let's do it. That joke resonates with everyone because us versus them mentality really works. It's like, yeah, the other side. They hate us. They do. And you deserve it, but they deserve it more. The creation of Inferno spans 7 years. That seems like it should be 9. Well, it will be 9 by the time it delivers. These minis look really fun. I bet they're not needed. All right, let's get to how to play. Sin symbols punched into the soul. Oh, this looks way more fun than the other Dante, but I love a good shaped meeple, personally. Call me a sinner, but that's what I love. Really, I know the next 1,323 people that are going to hell. And it's everyone who didn't get Dice Dangle, but thought about it. Oof, look at that sexy storage. All right, how to play. We've got a bunch of boards. We've got the main board. We've got Florence. We got the city up here, and then we got hell down here. And then we have the infamy track. With each accusation, he descends 1 step. Once he finds the exit to purgatory, the game ends. And then you have your own personal board where you can build your tower to improve your esteem, because obviously, if we learned anything from Dice Dangle, it is the size of your tower that matters. 2 phases. Hell phase. Make a soul descend into hell. Earn infamy points if you manage to get it to its destination. Thanks to you, the vile soul will receive a punishment befitting its crime. You'll earn approximately 1/3 of your infamy points by placing souls in hell. Love this. I really love this as a descriptor. Way to go, Red Mojo. You're kind of emphasizing the feel of the game, right? And you're emphasizing the importance. I find a lot of games will say, yeah, it's deck building, card drafting, whatever, but they have like a very small amount to it, and they throw those in as buzzwords. This, if you love sending souls to hell, approximately you will get 33% of your fun by doing so. And I just love those numbers. It's nice to have those numbers. Then we have the Florence phase. The symbol displayed on the shield to which the soul moves in hell determines the Quartier set of 2 locations where the Florence phase must take place. Cool. So not only are you trying to get it into the right realm, but you can do a bunch of stuff. Earn points by supplying the siege with resources. Okay. And then you can accuse a sinner. Each location attracts a particular kind. Gluttons can be found at the banquet, while the lustful meet at the haystack. Yeah, tell me about it. Accuse them and prompt their execution. Yeah. What are you doing in that haystack? We're just dice dangling, I swear. I really didn't think I'd get that much mileage out of this, but I can't stop. Their souls are sent to the graveyard. Dante moves the next stop along his path. If he's reached a new circle, the person with the highest score on that death log earns its diploma. Okay, cool. So timing out tracks, and then you can always do something. Diploma scoring, your fraud cards and reputation will provide you with points as well. Cool. Rules and demo, rulebook and player rating. Yeah, let's check it out. English. 24 pages. That's fairly standard. Okay, let's do it. This is the last one, so you can do it. Okay, cool. So you start, it's worker placement. Your family members start out. Whenever you accuse a sinner, you get your people back, but 1 goes to the tower. And so the tower can't be directly moved, but things will adjust that, I'm sure, as we continue. I like that cascading, that sinning, moving things down is important, but you also lose a worker and you lose a little bit of efficiency. I think that's interesting. This theme is very funny because you start with 4 nobles, but you can get 4 urchins. You know where you get the urchins at? The haystack. You know why? Because people are banging out kids and they're just growing and popping out right there. And then all the urchins are left in the haystack. The mom and dad are like, nah, we're going back, but you have to stay here in the haystack. So it's just a haystack filled with a bunch of urchins. Very similar to that in Shem Phillips' greatest hit, Naughty Little Urchin Children of the North Pole. I think that's very funny. 2 different currencies to manage. Florins to do stuff in the living, drachmas to do stuff in the dead. Okay, cool. So there's just a bunch of tracks, really. Because there's a bunch of different sin tracks. You can take a diploma if you reach the end of the sin track. This is also where Dante will score things depending upon what level of hell Dante's in. And then it encourages you to get the sins early on of a particular color. Also, I can see competition being for those things. Yeah, this seems pretty fun. You can just play at the river Styx to advance tracks directly. It's tracks. If you like tracks, well, then check this one out, I think. And so the puzzle here is that you have to cascade down the line. Wherever you start, you have to start at the top and then move along, moving souls so that they can get to where they need. You go through other souls. You're like, send them down the line. And the sinner's like, oh, this guy's already getting their eyes squashed out and their genitals flayed here. So I guess I'll move down to the next circle of hell, where it's just watching only Owen Wilson's close-ups for Yumi and Dupree over and over again for all eternity. I know that's one of the levels. Trying to move the souls to the level where they belong to get the points. Yeah, that seems potentially interesting. You're kind of building cascading routes. That's what you want. And then seems like general standard actions for the main actions up top. Yeah, I do love you get thrown into the tower until... This game is highly thematic, I feel. And way more fun than battling bosses. You're throwing sinners into hell. You're manipulating both the status quo of the area up top, the land of the living, and the land of the dead. And I just think that's so funny. Yeah, I like how these chain together too. There's a bunch of things to consider. Kind of feels maybe a little bit like Septima's pathways as well in terms of affecting actions, but I'm probably making that up. As an avid gamer, I only played Septima at Origins 2022, so it's been a while. Yeah, this looks fun though. This does look fun. I think this looks solid. Then again, I thought Tindaya looked solid, and I heard from some people that they didn't really enjoy Tindaya. So sound off in the comments if you like Tindaya, because it's the same publishing company. How much are you? Let's see. The Medusa edition. Oh, that's the worst one. Ugh, I hate when they do it. It's at the top, but it's fine. The deluxe edition is €79.87, and the Sinners edition 98. So the deluxe is the cheapest. It's the first time I've seen that happen. The 87 plus shipping, probably like 130 for me. Again, it's one of those. It's tough paying like $130, $140 for just €1, right? Even though it looks interesting, it looks fun. I really like the theme. I'm close on this one though. Yeah, it still is tough. But if you're interested in that, that is going to finish on the 12th of March, Tuesday. The only thing of note finishing that day at 2 p.m. So that's it. That's it. We made it. We made it to the end of the week. Thanks for sticking with me. Now, every week I do a pick for me and a pick for you. The pick for me being the thing that I'm the most interested in. The pick for you being the thing that I think if you are going to buy, you might have the least regrets about. I think that's a good way to classify it moving forward. And there is a pick for me and a pick for you. Again, I want to caveat in case you just skipped here to the end and you missed it at the beginning or wherever it was. Games are generally decent. Even though it's a pick for me and a pick for you, you shouldn't buy it if you're not like really excited about it. If you wouldn't buy it at the store right now, what are you doing in buying it online? I think that's a good rule of thumb that I'm going to keep on trying to repeat. So just keep that in mind when I give you the pick for me and the pick for you. The pick for me, we just talked about. Pick for me is going to be Inferno. I really like the theme on this one. I think mechanically it seems, again, solid, decently good. The theme is what elevates it for me. I love a Euro with a silly theme, or at least a silly theme that I can put on upon it. And I think this really has a very funny sense of humor with its choices of how the actions work. I do think it looks fun. I mean, I guess it does come with minis, so, you know, and a nice organizational... Yeah. I mean, it looks fun. It does look fun. I'm kind of talking myself into it. I'm kind of like getting myself a little bit more hyped about it. That's my pick for me. I think my pick for you is better though. It's a much better price, and I think it's good if you're a solo gamer. Let me know. Sound off in the comments if you're a solo gamer, if you're interested in Conservas, because I feel like it just might be slick. Let me know how it compares to Warp's Edge. Again, I've only read about Warp's Edge. I haven't played it. So as an avid gamer, I would never be able to compare the two. And hopefully there's a couple people out there who will be able to deal with that and can share their thoughts on if they think Conservas is, because I'm also not a solo gamer. So that's why it's a pick for you if you fall into that sort of category. About 25.43. Well, that's because it's euros. I thought that was a very specific price, and I was going to applaud it for that weirdly specific price. But it's not, so I won't. Yeah, I think it's a good price. I really got excited about the theme. I think that looks pretty neat. So those are my picks for the week. Thanks for sticking with me. Keep up the good fight. and keep backing games that only you feel really, really passionate and excited about. I hope you get a lot of great gaming in your future. My name is Chris George. I don't have a catchphrase, but you know what we say? Keep those devilish dice dangly, baby. Devilish dice!